I want to say a big warm welcome, everyone that is chiming in here on our, let's say, our YouTube and our email list.
Mm.
Already knows me. So, my name is Donna. I'm the founder of Ethéra. We have multiple locations in Greece and expanding soon. And with us here is Sylvia. Sylvia found us on Instagram and has fallen in love with the Ethéra concept and vision. And we have beautiful plans together for the near future.
Mhm.
Right now, though, Sylvia is here with me because she's hosting two amazing retreats. One of them is in Greece, including Crete, Delphi, and Athens, and the
Mhm.
other retreat is in Egypt. Today, we'll talk a bit more about the Greece retreat, right?
Yes.
And if people have questions, they can always find you and ask about all the rest. Plus,
Mm.
we're going to do a deep dive next week. We'll link to the the Zoom link, the day and time, and all of that, where we can really go live and Q&A with Sylvia, and you guys can ask her anything that you wish.
Yes.
So, Sylvia, please tell our audience, our Thera audience, about you. Who are you? How did you get into the soulful work that you do and the retreats that you lead?
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. I am, again, just so grateful to have this time and space and speak to all of the lovely Ethera family. So thank you very much for welcoming me here. But yes, my goodness, where did I get into this space? So I have been for lack of a better word, walking this path now of self-development, self-inquiry. We can even call it spirituality and, all of these beautiful domains for, I would say, a good 17 years now. And what led me into this was simply, my personal inner inquiry into the healing arts and like healing myself and coming out of a world where once upon a time I was working. So I'm here in Canada. And I am Canadian, and I was working for the government of Canada in federal policing for many years. And through many operational stress injuries and developing severe post-traumatic stress, and all of the lovely things that come through there, um, and really tapping into the holistic side of healing. And that is really what opened the door into this alternative, holistic, what I have to say, more rooted world of the deeper inquiry of self. So, whether that was through psycho spiritual, psycho emotional, or psychosomatic pathways, that was my exploration, which then led me out of the world of government and out of the world of federal policing. And of course, we can talk about this anytime in many
And
different
we
ways.
will. Yeah.
But yeah, and we will, yes. And it just really led me into being of service to a greater mission in a different way, still of service deeply to humanity, but in the way that my soul was much more aligned to it. So I dove into the shamanic arts, deep apprenticeships with elders, many different kinds of certifications over the years. I dove into the priestess arts and the sacred arts and the temple arts, became a legally ordained priestess, legally ordained shamanic practitioner for those who, prefer the titles, and I'm not so much about that, but just for those who prefer to understand that. But really getting deeply embodied and aligning who I am, how I live, and what I do, and having integrity all around and being of service from there in that way. And so when I found you, of course, and Ethera, and you and I have had so many beautiful discussions about the vision and what um, we really want to bring to humanity, and it's just been so aligned for me personally through the perspective and lens of the temple arts and human longevity and human evolution, and tapping back into what it actually means to be fiercely human and retain our organic intelligence and human divinity and what that actually means from a non-dogmatic, non-religious perspective, right? I mean, I'm not getting into all that, but and that's been basically my service and my exploration through various modalities, whether that's, breath work or facilitating pilgrimages to sacred lands, mainly in the Mediterranean, because that is my personal lineage. Even though I am Canadian, I'm first generation Canadian, and my mother, my entire mother line, born in Sicily with lots of Greek roots as well. Um, yeah, and so just really expanding in different ways and being able to offer these very tailored, bespoke, sacred experiences to those who are courageous and want to engage with them and want to, co-create in that way and see where it leads them for their self-development and their soul path and all of this. So, yeah.
Okay, amazing intro. And that's how I got to know you as well. So now everyone will fall in love with you. Um,
Oh,
we also got to meet in person when you finished your last Egypt tour and trip and retreat, I should say. And then you swung by Athens and we got to meet in person. And of course, I took you to Delphi, which you'd been there before. And it's one of those sacred pilgrimages that I go on myself maybe five, six plus times a year because I live in Greece. And it's a sacred home to me. I feel at home there. So when you and I went as well, that is one of your, let's say, past homes. And
yeah.
yeah, you feel very connected to this land. And I see how much you revere what, this land holds in terms of sacred wisdom. And so just to see you
Yeah.
in action unofficially, because we went as friends and colleagues,
Yeah.
it was really, really beautiful and touched my heart to experience that with you. So I can just imagine. I've already seen your site, I've already read the whole description of this upcoming retreat. And I want to hear from you now in just a short, let's say, intro, because we'll dive deep next week what this trip is, what it means, who it's for. But again, we'll keep it short because we'll dive really deep with, the women that are interested in joining us. And I say us
Yes.
because you've invited me as well to participate and to lead some practices. I'll be leading meditation, probably also some singing bowls and, my weaving my own magic that I do within the group. And so that's going to be very sacred, and I thank you. So give us a little intro, just for the few minutes that we have left, of who this might be for, who might be called to join, and especially who wants to join us on the next deep dive that we do next week.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let me begin by saying Crete. So when I was just recently again in Crete, and I've been going back to the lands, over and over again for years, because my particular maternal line comes from Sicily. Sicily and Crete have a very deep connection, and every time I'm in Crete, again, it feels very much like home. But this time around, when I was in Crete, I had very personal initiations of my own through very deep remembrances, and specifically through the bees. The bees were very, very loud in terms of returning to, sovereignty, returning to order. We know that the Melissae and the bee priestesses were such a big part of, many Mediterranean lands in their history, and especially in Crete and Greece. And what I loved about Crete was that, which is interesting because not a lot of people know this, but there was like a 1500-year period, almost like between 1500 years and 2000 years during the Minoan civilization, where Crete had no war or conflict. And really is like unheard of in the Mediterranean, specifically at that time, the Bronze Age and all of this, where there was a lot of war and conflict, right? But Crete maintained harmony. And a big part of that harmony was being stewarded and guided by the priestesses because they understood what true sovereignty was, what true leadership was. They understood, the very deep connection to the land, the co-creation with the lands, what the lands were always there to teach us in order to be in harmony with it and with each other. And so, again, this is just like scratching the surface, but basically for me, when I was recently there, it was very, very clear. I was like, okay, we are at a time clearly in the world, and it's by no mistake that we have all come here at this time specifically, where we are moving into a different era, a different cycle. Like we're closing cycles and beginning new ones, as we always do, throughout evolution, time, and history. And essentially, leadership, honest, heart-led leadership is needed, so needed, right? As we see so many of the systems around us collapsing as a result of, distortion, deception, corruption, all of these things, what is it? What kind of leader is going to be needed now to move in and step in, right? And again, not from a like hierarchy perspective, but more from this like council perspective, from the perspective of true community and really, creating something that helps to truly evolve humanity and doesn't impede on our creation and impede on our evolution and distract us or how would I say keep us asleep to the truth of who and what we are and our fullest potential. And so Crete specifically holds these keys, it holds these codes in the land because it went for such a long period of time, right? In this harmony. And I really truly believe, like, I got this hit where it was like, it's time for us as humanity to remember this, right? But, it really is. First, this one is for women. Like I'm really creating this for women who are either, stepping through or stepping into greater leadership roles that require alignment and more integrity. Like, what does that mean, right? Like to really hold integrity as a leader, to really stand in our truth, to be able to stand in our deepest knowing, even if everything is so uncomfortable. How do we stand in that? Right. And it really does come back down to the mystery teachings. And there's a reason why these mystery schools are back on the rise and these mystery teachings that are held within the land are coming back because when civilizations begin to crash and collapse, what is held at the foundation is the mysteries because they are very rooted in creation, evolution, all of this. So it's to bring women back to the land and offer them a very bespoke experience of pilgrimage versus retreat. There are some differences we can go into like next time, big differences. But the caves in Crete speak a very different language. The caves are very much the original temples, and like they were initiation sites for initiates that were meant to be leaders, whether that's in your community, whether, today it's like a business, entrepreneurship, your family, right? Your family. You can be a leader in your family. But really, it's to bring people back to this deeper understanding of how the land informs us, right? Through its people, its cultures, its traditions, its food, its waters, it's like everything, right? And how does that speak to our personal development and how we then express our unique way of leadership and leading in the world, right? To create a more harmonious humanity. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's
So
basically, yeah.
what you did, no, what you did was very interesting because you essentially gave us like this broader scope of why you do what you do and what someone is going to get from this whole experience. So
Yeah.
I say we pause here
Absolutely.
Whoever feels called is going to receive that call and will join us in the deep dive. And in the deep dive, then we can go into even more, specifics as
Definitely.
to what this retreat is like. Maybe even more specifics as to, you've already explained who it's really tailored for. And I think that's the perfect, let's say,
Yeah.
um, avatar right now of the woman that's stepping into that more role of leader, guide, mentor,
Yeah.
let's say modern day CEO who's,
Yes.
essentially paving the way. So that's a
Hmm.
perfect, let's say, avatar of the person that would love to come on this trip. And
Yeah.
it's more, well, it is a trip, actually.
The journey. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, Sylvia, I think this is wonderful. I say we pause here.
Thank
I
you.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for everything that you do. And we're going to also put the link of when we're going to meet next week, and people can, sign up and join us there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I look forward to more.
Me too. Me
Thank
too. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
you.